As President Trump declares a national emergency at the southern border and cracks down on deportations, we're beginning to see more and more ICE raids across the country. Western Mass News reporter Reagan Stoddard is live in studio with more information. Reagan, what are people saying?
Amanda, one of the biggest concerns coming from parents across the country, including right here in Western Mass, is the thought of ICE agents coming to schools. United States law says anyone born in the United States, no matter if their parents entered the country legally or not, are given birthright citizenship. Under the Biden administration, programs were made to allow temporary status for those waiting for their paperwork to process. In a statement put out by the Holyoke Mayor Joshua Garcia and Superintendent Anthony Soto, the two said in part, "We are affirming our commitment to ensure and protect the rights of all Holyoke residents and employees, and especially our newcomer and immigrant families whose safety and well-being are now being imperiled by recent announcements at the federal level." Meantime, across the state, according to immigration attorney Annalisa Rojo, many families are fearful of what the future looks like, and not just for undocumented immigrants. Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell has already went ahead and published a series of guidelines for school districts if they are approached by ICE agents. Reporting in studio, Reagan Stoddard, Western Mass News.